can hear me. I just can't scream any louder. And my technical giant told me this is the way it is. So listen carefully. Welcome to tonight's forum. It's an important one, and it's an educational forum. It's for all of us to become educated about the people who are running the show. It's not me. What's important about it is how money is spent in education and on education. And we're hoping it's something that everybody is vitally interested in because schools are kind of the foundation of the world we live in. And all of us, even us gray-haired as well as the little tykes, deserve as much of it as we can get. So with that in mind, I'd like to introduce tonight's moderator, Liz Danbury, who is a student, by the way.
Welcome, everyone. This is not a debate tonight. It's not a pro and con forum. It's an information forum, and we have three purposes tonight. To listen to our speakers from Yavapai College about the master plan and capital improvements, to ask thoughtful questions about Yavapai College's master plan and capital improvements, and to learn and determine our own opinions about the master plan and capital improvements. The format is very simple. I'm going to ask all of us to listen to each other respectfully and try to understand each other's points of view. Speak your mind freely, but please no personal attacks or I'll cut you off. And try to maintain an open mind. Each speaker has been asked to do a presentation on Yavapai College's master plan and capital improvement. They each get up to 15 minutes to speak, but we're a little flexible tonight. Then I'm going to open up the forum to questions from all of you. I'm going to alternate between your written questions and any of you who want to ask an oral question. So I encourage you all to do both. Speakers are asked to answer the questions within 2 minutes. If a question can't be answered because neither speaker has the answer, we will do some research and get back to you. So make sure you give one of us your contact information. I'd like to acknowledge a couple of people in the audience. Dr. Penny Willis, the president of Yavapai College, and Al Filardo, the newly appointed member of the governing board of District 3. And now we'll go to the presentations, and we're going to start with Clint Ewell.
Okay, I think I'm going to stand so I can use my projection voice. Yes, thank you, Liz. And I would like to start with a few thanks, or maybe I'll just hold it. Yeah, thank you to the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to come out, and especially thanks to all of you for making the time and taking that time out of your busy schedule to be with us this evening. I guess the first thing I wanted to point out before we move on is that it is a campus master plan, and the operative word there is it's a plan. And you know, surely this is the direction that we think we're heading. We're out tonight, and we will be out in the community on probably 20 to 25 more visits in a variety of community forums to solicit feedback, and we will adjust on the fly as we need to. So if we have missed the ball on some certain points, we're happy to make adjustments. But with that, let me tell you what we have put together and see what you think. So what the college decided to do is we went out and did a public request for proposal. We had a number of different firms apply to help us with this plan, and we ended up going with the Smith Group. They are a national architecture firm. They work with colleges and universities all across the country They've put together more than 150 different campus master plans for those different schools. One of the things that I wanted to point out is just what a campus master plan is. You know, here in Sedona, I know you have just recently completed your community master plan, and I think in some ways the two types of projects are very similar. What we're really trying to do is make sure that we have the right facilities to support our strategic plan and, most importantly, our academic programs that we need to service our entire service district, which is Yavapai County. Again, what we tried to do is make this an inclusive process. This was a multi-year process, most recently culminating with about 6 months of both on-campus and off-campus input. We did have public forums both in May and October of last year, both at the Verde campus and at the Prescott campus, as well as all of our sites with our students, trying to solicit community input as to what kinds of additional facilities and or programming might be needed in the coming decade. Again, as far as what we're trying to achieve with this, these first 3 bullets up on the board are what our district governing board has told us are our 3 major goals for the college: education, economic development, and community enrichment. In addition to that, as I think Mr. Harrington's going to talk about in a few moments, all of us in higher ed have come under tremendous pressures financially, and so we are being forced to become more efficient. And we also want to make sure that we have the right kinds of facilities to partner with the different businesses and communities, again, in our service district. The Smith Group, on our behalf, performed a whole host of analyses. And again, this is kind of their standard portfolio of analyses that they perform as they go across the country doing this project, or these types of projects. They do, again, both external analyses, and again, I just want to touch on a couple of these things. Again, limited funding. As all of you know, as a result of the recession, Arizona had to do some major restructuring in their state budget. In fiscal year 12, we took a significant drop in state support. We're down to 1 or 2% of our operating budget coming from the state of Arizona. The vast majority of our support comes from the people in this room, as well as people throughout our county in the form of property taxes. We are being held to higher and higher levels of accountability. People are looking for completions, they're looking for efficiencies, they're looking for students to be able to transfer, they're looking for student satisfaction, maybe more so than they have in the past. One of the biggest changes is the rise in online education. I know, speaking for myself, my preferred learning style is not to take an online class, but I can tell you that our online enrollments, both at Yavapai College and in higher ed in general, are just skyrocketing. 10 years ago, it was about 1 or 2% of our total enrollments were online. Today, it's about 1/3 of our enrollments, and that's a trend that's happening nationally as well. And again, I think some of it may have to do with a learner's preferred style. A lot of it might have to do with the situation in that given student's life. You know, if they are a single parent, if they are working a full-time job, they may not have the opportunity to attend face-to-face classes the way some of us have in the past. Again, one of the big things they looked at were county demographics. As you know, a lot of the county growth in the past decade has been in the Prescott Valley area, and quite frankly, looking forward, it's projected to continue that trend. And then probably the other big important part of data that they looked at had to do with both county and state job trends, and trying to make sure that we were properly positioned with the right kinds of academic programs to support the needs of our economy moving forward. So here are their conclusions, and I'm not going to read them all to you, but again, I'd like to just highlight a few for your consideration. The first is that, as a best practice, what they're seeing happening nationally is that schools tend to consolidate expensive programming. So schools don't tend to offer engineering, or any kind of nursing or allied health at multiple locations. They tend to do it in one of their campuses, not replicated. One of the things that we knew heading into this, but they were able to verify, is that the most of our growth in enrollment is online. It's in dual credit, meaning it's happening in our high schools. We have high school students who are earning both high school credit as well as college credit at the same time. And then last but not least, our career and technical education programming. The last one that I wanted to highlight is that, you know, we are a very interesting county. We have twice the number of retirees as in Arizona and as in the United States. Given our demographics, community education is and will continue to be a very important part of our academic programming at Yavapai College. So here's the recommended plan. I know this graphic's a little hard to read, and so forgive me but I'm going to read it aloud to you, at least part of it. That legend on the top left, the color codes are indicating what kinds of academic programming. So blue is business and computer science. Red is career and technical education. Yellow is what we call foundation studies. It's our basic math and English type of coursework, as well as our community ed coursework. The green is our science and health, and purple is visual, performing, and liberal arts. And then as we move onto the map, let me point out a few things. I think the first thing you'll notice is that here on 89, you do not see our existing campus in Chino Valley. The recommendation is that given the level of enrollments at that campus, that those programs don't get closed, but they get moved to a different location and consolidated into one of our other existing sites. Again, here at our C-Tech facility, this is where we do the vast majority of our career and technical education programming. The balance of it is actually done off-site in our high school partnerships. Here in Prescott, you can see that Prescott is what we call a campus, a full-service campus, and it offers all 5 of the different kinds of academic programming. And the reason it's a campus and not a center is that a campus has additional support services that helps students succeed. So it has a library, it has tutoring, it has academic advising, it has financial aid officers, it has all those kinds of support services. So Prescott continues to be a full-service campus. Skipping Prescott Valley for a second, I just want to jump across the hill and come to the Verde Valley campus. Again, this is a full-service campus. It offers all of those same support services that are offered in Prescott, and it offers all the different groups of academic programming that are offered in Prescott. Not every single discipline, mind you, but all the different groupings are available. Here in Sedona, we have our yellow dot indicating our continued presence with our community ed, meaning primarily our OLLI programming. And then last but not least, one of the big driver of this project really is the Prescott Valley facility. Currently, we have 2 different standalone buildings in Prescott Valley. The thought is that neither of those is large enough to accommodate the growth that's needed in Prescott Valley. The thought would be to sell those 2 existing facilities and to buy land and build a large center in Prescott Valley. It would offer a variety of programming but focus on allied health. Speaking of which, there's been a lot of information, I believe, in the newspapers and on the radio about nursing in particular. Again, you'll see nursing and allied health is the green color. All of the pre-nursing coursework and the first year of study would be available at the 2 main campuses in Prescott and in Prescott Valley. However, as you move into your second year of the nursing program, there's a lot of hands-on study that's needed with a variety of high-cost simulator type of equipment and facilities. And the thought is to consolidate those high-cost programs into one location, more centrally located to our population centers here in Yavapai County, and service our students through this common facility. The final thing I wanted to mention about nursing is that the final part of nursing is to get out into the field and to apply your skills in the different hospitals and nursing homes throughout the county. And it's really at that point that people can come back to the communities where they're most interested in learning and perhaps ultimately living. Looking at the Verde Valley campus as it relates to the campus master plan, there are a few proposed expansions. What we see here is that there are a couple of additional lots that we anticipate needing to build. And we also are planning on moving from that Chino facility, our agricultural program, some sustainable agriculture and possibly some greenhouse type of technologies here to the Verde Valley campus. The other thing that I wanted to point out is some of the renovations. As I'm sure you've seen in the newspaper, we're currently investing about $3.4 million in our viticulture and enology programs. We are renovating actually a racquetball court into a state-of-the-art teaching winery, and we also own about 80 acres adjacent or as part of our campus, and we're converting 20 of those acres into a vineyard. The other major renovation is Building L, and we would set aside monies for the renovation of that into new academic programming as yet to be determined. Again, the last thing I want to point out about the Verde Valley campus is that though there's not a large investment anticipated over the next 10 years, we have just invested $20 million in our existing buildings, really bringing them all up to state-of-the-art facilities with both technology, fire suppression systems, and just state-of-the-art equipment throughout. Here in Sedona, again, I think there's some either misunderstanding or misinformation in some of the media and in some other meetings being held around the community. The college has no intention of leaving Sedona. We will be in Sedona. We just met before this meeting with some of our OLLI community, reassuring them that OLLI programming is not going away in any way, shape, or fashion. The real issue for the college has to do with our current location, which is in the Sedona Cultural Park. As I think many of you know, the college was one of the early investors, one of the only investors in the park. We joined there in approximately 1998. We bought more land in 2003. And then, of course, the next year, the park went financially bankrupt. So for the last 10 years, we've really been in a situation where we are operating a building that we own 5 feet around the perimeter of it. We also own 5 acres about 100 yards down the road, but it's impossible for us to legally get from 89A into our building and for any of our students to do that. And again, I think Mr. Harrington's going to talk a little bit more about that as part of his discussion. And this ends my part of the discussion. I did want to give you a couple of things, and this will be, my understanding is that this is being taped, as you can see, and it will be available online. So if you don't have a chance to write it down, it'll soon be available on the web. But we do have a website where there's lots and lots more detailed information available for our campus master plan. I would encourage you to go there and please check it out. Also, if you have other ideas that come to your mind after this session is over and you're like, oh, I wish I would have asked that, here's a contact name and email address where you can provide feedback directly to our board. So with that, thank you for your time. I'm going to turn it over to Harold Harrington.
Well, that's me. My name is Harold Harrington. Actually came on board in 1999. Sorry. Is that what this is for? Okay. So, nobody really cares about me. Let's move on. Who is Yavapai College? This is what we intend to do. Provide provide high-quality learning and cultural resources for everybody in Yavapai County. That's what we all do at the college. And the board sets the ends of the college. Ends are kind of like the overall goals of the college. We exist so the communities within Yavapai County are equipped with vision and skills to create a sustainable economic environment and justifiable cost. We focus on education, economic development, and community, as Clint said earlier. So those are the things that the board sets for the college. Now, Dr. Wells and her staff are responsible for making that happen because we all have day jobs, right? We're volunteers. We don't get involved in the day-to-day operations of the college. We set the overall objectives and then we monitor performance to that. So that's how the board process works. We have 5 districts. As you all know, the county supervisors redistrict the county, and this is what the districts look like nowadays if you're interested. I used to be District 3, which was this, and I live in Cornville, and this little blue piece, I think that's my district. I'm looking at this fun. These maps are completely incomprehensible to me. Anyway, my district now runs down to Black Canyon City and Camp Verde and around to Mayor and up out that way. So the rest of the board members, Al, sitting right there, is now District 2, which is mainly the Verde Valley proper in this area. So we operate the college under policy governance. What that means is what I said a little while ago. We set the policies, we measure performance for the staff and hold them accountable for accomplishing those objectives. We represent Yavapai County. When we go on the board, one of the things that we raise our hand and agree to do is do our best for every citizen of Yavapai County. I'm elected from a district. Once I'm elected, I represent the county. That's, I think, an important distinction that a lot of people don't understand, but there's a good reason for it. It is not about me. It isn't about me taking care of my friends or my neighbors. It's about me doing the best job I can for everybody in this county. Every taxpayer in this county is an owner of this institution, and I have equal responsibility to every one of them. And that's what all the board members try to do. So even though some of them are from Prescott, they represent you. Even though I'm from Cornville, I represent people in Baghdad. That's what we swear to do, and we do the best we can. So let's talk about goal number 1. Education. We have a lot of degrees, 31 degrees, 57 certificates, and 62 courseworks, disciplines in personal enrichment. Dual credit. I really want to talk about dual credit. We've worked pretty hard on dual credit at the college, and I don't think that we have done as good a job of getting the word out about that as we can. One of the things that we struggle with constantly in this institution is the trade between efficiency and access. You have to be efficient. You guys expect us to be efficient. We also, as a community college, have a commitment to be accessible to our communities. Those two things compete with each other. The most efficient educational system is like ASU. You build a huge campus and say, you come to us. That's very efficient, but it's not very accessible. So that's why we have facilities around the county, but we're constantly balancing that efficiency and access. Dual credit is one of the ways that we are taking on access. High schools in this county, there are a lot of them. We teach college courses. We credit and approve the curriculum in the high school for certain classes. A kid taking a high school class can concurrently get college credit in that same class. They don't leave the high school. They don't do anything other than take a class that has been approved by us and the curriculum's been accredited and the teacher has been authorized by us to teach that course. So a kid that's sitting there taking a math class in their junior or senior year, they get high school credit and they get college credit, and they get college credit for free. We have decided to fund that out of our operating budget. So think about that. That's pretty good access. Now, we don't go into we haven't got dual credit going in every high school yet. I believe we will, and we have it going in a lot of them. Right now we have about, we've donated about $100,000 of free credit for kids doing this in the Verde Valley last year. And it's a growing program. So we think that is good for all of us. I don't have to pay, or you don't have to pay for new buildings. You don't have to pay for new instructors. You don't have to pay for new things to increase the amount of college education we're giving to students. I think that's a real win for everybody, and it helps us with access. We can get more people. It's good for us because the kids are in college and don't even realize it. That transition from high school to college can be very difficult for some of us. When they come out of high school, it's quite possible for a kid to come out of high school with their first year of college behind them for free. That makes it very much more realistic, or it's easier for them to transfer into the college environment at that point, we think. So we think it's a win for everybody. So I'd like you guys to really think about that, and if you have people that have kids in high school, encourage them to check on dual enrollment. It really is a big deal, and we need more people to take advantage of it because we want more of them coming to us. We feel, you know, if they do the dual enrollment thing, the odds are they'll come and take classes later on and continue their higher education experience. So we think that's a real win for everybody. A lot of adult basic education, you know. Especially in Sedona, we have a very dynamic OLLI program, but countywide, Dennis was telling me earlier, we're up about 4,500 unduplicated headcount adult basic OLLI program students. That's a lot. I mean, we've got like 450 in Sedona. So that's a very large, growing, dynamic, and exciting program. Developmental education, that's bringing people in and giving them the basic skills they need. They've got to, you know, increase their skills a little bit to either continue in higher education or get a job. Do an awfully lot of that. Transfer, I've got 2 kids that are out in the workforce and one that's in Yavapai College right now. All of them finished their first 2 years at Yavapai College. One of them's a pediatrician in Prescott, and the other one's been all over the world. I don't even know what he does. But I don't think I could have afforded to put him through U of A. You know, I mean, it costs a lot of money. I save, you know, $8,000–10,000 a year for those first 2 years. That's real money to folks like me. I don't, you know, some of you guys in Prescott or Sedona, it may not matter, but career technical education, do a lot of that. We really do need, and we're working on how do we do more of that over here. We've offered programs over here. We've tried some things. Some of them, most of them haven't worked very well. We keep trying. I think we're going to make some progress with the tech ed district over here, the Valley Academy. They're the ones that are responsible for the high school age career tech education. So if we can connect with them and start bringing that group into our programs, that'll help us all a lot too on the career tech ed side. We have a very good relationship with the academy over at the Mountain Academy over on the other side of the mountain, and they bring a lot of students to us. Community education, like I said, those are the programs where people really don't care about getting college credit, but they want to take classes for personal enrichment, those sort of things. So, what else? Economic development. We do a lot of economic development work. Alex Wright, sitting right there. She's our director of economic development. There aren't there didn't used to be any, or none that I was aware of, colleges or community colleges that really put an oar in the water in this. They didn't feel like that was any of their business. That's business. We're educators. That's all business. Why would we get involved in that? Yavapai College has taken that very seriously. We feel like in order for this community to succeed, the college has to participate in that, and we're going to invest energy, time, and money in helping businesses prosper, because if we don't have a good, solid economic base, we all lose. So we do a lot of that, and we invest in it. Viticulture and enology is an area where we're spending quite a bit of time, money, and resources. There's a myth out there that the viticulture, the vineyard and all of that was paid for with donations, and actually the college is funding about half of that. It's half and half. It's great that we've got that many donors, but the college is investing in that program heavily. Cultural enrichment. You know, we believe that the college has something to contribute to that. We've taken on cultural enrichment activities throughout the county. We're going to continue to grow those programs. We now have the Mayberry Pavilion on the Verde campus that we're going to start bringing more and more of those kind of programs into the Verde. Obviously on the Sedona side, or on the Prescott side, we have the Performing Arts Center. So we have libraries. So this is an important part of our business too. It's not just teaching classes. Next steps. So what are we going to do now? Well, at the beginning of this process, as with any large process, the next step is this. As we go around the county, we talk to people, we talk to stakeholders, we explain what we're doing, what we're considering doing, what we're trying to do, and then we get owner input. You know, you guys write the checks. What you says matters. You know, that we are, the board represents you, so you'll see the board members out talking to community service organizations and presenting these things and answering questions. That's our responsibility to you as the owners of the institution. So you'll see us doing that. And then as we go forward, we will incorporate that input into the plan and modify the plan and see where we end up. Our intention is to be doing education in Yavapai County from now on. We're going to be here. We're very financially sound. Dr. Wells and her staff have worked very hard to make sure that we can remain solvent in a time where that is not easy. I think a lot of people take that for granted, and I think you can look north from here and see the results of decisions that have been difficult and are going to get more and more difficult. Coconino, we need to offer up prayer for those folks. They've got tough times going on up there, and a lot of it is not has anything to do with them. They just got caught in a bad situation. But financial solvency is important, and we work on that all the time. If you want to know where the money goes or want to see all the exciting numbers that Clint and his folks present, you can get it on the web. It's all posted every month in great, glorious detail, and we stare at it for hours. I'd rather you guys do it than me. Okay, that is the end of my standing up here blathering away. I think the next step is for you guys to ask us questions.
Thank you. I'm going to have us take about a 10-minute break to give us a chance to go to the bathroom and formulate some more questions, and then we'll start with a couple of written questions and go to a couple of oral questions. Thanks.
Thanks.
Itself on how Maricopa Community College District operates. What are your thoughts on this suggestion?
Maricopa County Community College District has basically the same structure as Yavapai College does. Okay, it's on.
There we go.
I guess you got to turn it on and off. So Maricopa County Community College District has the same organizational structure as Yavapai College. They have a president, or they call it a chancellor. That's Rufus Glasper. And they have one governing board, just like Yavapai College does. They have multiple campuses or colleges, just like Yavapai College does. Of course, they're an enormous community college district. They're one of the largest in the country, if not the largest. So Maricopa County Community College District has more students than we have citizens in Yavapai County, so it's a little bit different deal. They got a lot of colleges, but it is the same structure as we have. They have a president and a governing board.
Thank you. I'll go with another written question. Why is it not possible to expand the program in Sedona and maybe work more with the high school?
We'd love to, and it is possible. One of the things that has been difficult to get, that we didn't do a good job of communicating in the master plan. We put on our master plan that about 5-6 years out that if we can't resolve the issues with the Sedona property, we're going to sell it. And I'm here to tell you tonight that 5 to 6 years from now, if we have not resolved those issues, we will sell that building. We really have no choice. We'll build another one or buy another one in Sedona, but we have to resolve 3 key issues with that building. It's been going on for 11 years now. We've got to have parking that we own. We have to put our property together with our building. We own 5 acres. We've got to get our properties put together, and we have to have clear public legal access to 89A. We have to accomplish those things, or we have got to get out of that building. We cannot invest in that building because it would be lunacy in the highest degree to do that if we're going to have to get rid of it. So we are stalled right now kind of with this building, and have been for, it's actually 11 years. So we've got to fix those problems. Dr. Wills is working on it hard. I know Rob has been, Mayor has been very supportive of helping us get this thing off dead center. We've got to get those issues resolved. I can't look the taxpayers in the eye and say we're going to invest money in a building that we may have to walk away from. But we gave it another 5 years in the master plan. If we cannot resolve this in another 5 years, then the odds of us resolving it ever, I think, are 0. And I will, if I'm still around at that point, I will very strongly encourage the board to sell it and move on, build another building or do something, because we just can't keep going like we're doing. So that's one of the reasons that it's difficult to expand programs, but we have plans to do that. I think there are a lot of ideas coming forth from the community. What we really want is the community to engage with us and help us figure out what do we want to, what do we need? What do you need from us as a college in this community? And that's what we're out here trying to find out, and we appreciate you all taking the time. Everybody's busy, and we appreciate you taking the time coming and engaging with us.
That sounds like a good time to ask whether we have any questions in the audience. Yes.
Here, we need to use a microphone.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Robin.
Thank you. I'm Mike Abramson, new to the Sedona area. Been here for just about 1 year, originally from upstate New York. I'm concerned about how you began. You took a tax hit, and it seems you accept it. I'm coming from a state that has been known for always paying taxes. And I always voted for it because I believe in education. Arizona is, I think, 49 out of 50. Thank God for that other state. Why do you people accept it? Education is very important. This is a growing state. We are constantly getting more coming in. Why don't we demand more money for the children? That's our future. And you commented we're giving dual credit. I taught in an area that had dual credit. It works. I also taught at a community college nursing. Nursing is a growing area. Everyone needs it. There's so much positive going. We just need money. And it's here. So you're on the positive side of things, and the state should give for it. I have no questions for you, except we should all work together to try to get money.
Thank you for your comments.
I certainly think we should all work together, and I appreciate your comments.
Did we have another question? Yes, in the purple. Robin, we'll bring you the mic.
My name is Elizabeth Yancey, and I at least like to think of myself as an advocate of education. I've been trying to work out exactly how to put this, and so I'm just going to share with you what my experience is as an individual living in the Verde Valley. I'm part of a program that works with kids who get involved with the law for the first time. And often those children come from homes where there's not a lot of financial resources, or any other kind of resources, actually. And a big part of our pitch in our organization, as far as helping these kids, is to get an education. A lot of these young people are interested in going into EMTs, going into nursing, just trying to get their CNA certificate, because there are jobs here, and specifically in Cottonwood as well. If the nursing program is moved to Prescott Valley, my concern is that the students who are now involved in the nursing program and the EMT program, if there is part of it as well in the Clarkdale campus, are not going to be able to afford either the time away from their families and their jobs or the money for the gas to get over there and back. And as a citizen who is aging along with everyone else, and whose parents, thankfully, are still alive, but who are probably going to be needing care of from a nurse in the next few years, or someone with a medical background, I'm very concerned about how that's going to impact the Verde Valley, and specifically these young people who are so excited about getting into the medical field at some level and who want to do that, but there is going to be no financial reality for them in driving to or getting to Prescott Valley in order to take the second and third and fourth year of their nursing program, or however many it will be at that point. How do you deal with those issues? And was there, in all the analysis that was done and all the research that was collected, was there any analysis of the people who are currently in the nursing program at whatever level, who are from Sedona, Jerome, Clarkdale, Cornville, all the little sea cities around us, who would be impacted potentially if the program in the Verde Valley closed and they had to go to Prescott Valley?
Well, just maybe to start off with a couple of comments. The CNA type of coursework, we would typically consider that to be pre-nursing. That would all still be available at the Clarkdale campus. And in regard to the nursing question, as far as how many students are coming from the Verde Valley area, just looking at the last 5 years, about half the students come from the Verde Valley and the other half are commuting from the Prescott Valley area to attend classes at the Clarkdale campus. You know, again, we don't have quotas or anything like that. We want to admit every single qualified student into the nursing program. But what we found, again, over the last 5 years is that only 12 to 18, depending on the year, were available from these local communities. So somebody's going to have to travel no matter where the programming's located.
But you know, another piece of your question, and I think, you know, it's definitely a concern that we've definitely thought about and talked about. The trade-off that we've got to make is, if we spend the money on equipment and duplicate these facilities in multiple places, then we have less money to spend on teachers and students. So the trade-off we make is, do we have more nursing students and buy more equipment, or do we try to put the equipment in one spot, have the ability to have more students, but figure out how do we deal with the access issue? You know, can we do transportation? You know, I got to be honest with you. You know, this whole issue is about 6-7 years out in the master plan, the Prescott Valley facility and all that, and I'm not even sure exactly how we're going to be doing nurse education or any education 7 years out. It is changing so fast. I'm seeing things going on now that just amaze me. So I'm not sure, you know, the crystal ball's getting kind of fuzzy out there, but I can assure you that we are concerned about access. As I said earlier, access and efficiency are the things we arbitrate all the time. I think I'd rather have more teachers and students than buy more equipment from Medtronics. I personally feel that, even though I'm a person that sells equipment, you know, builds equipment. I think that it makes more sense to do that, but we're going to have to deal with the access and transportation. You know, the college can get involved in that if that's what it takes. Maybe we run a bus, I don't know. But, you know, 5 or 6 years out, we're going to have to take that on and deal with it. Between now and then, we've got to figure out what's the best plan. You can help us between now and 6, 7 years out, figure out what's the best way to skin that cat. Penny, do you have something you want to say?
Someone else mentioned it to me beforehand. Yes. Oh, recognize. Hello. No, I'm Penny. Penny Wills, the president. Let's just momentarily, there's some misconceptions that have been spread around here about the Center of Excellence for Allied Health and Nursing. Keep in mind a couple different things. One is that we're all concerned about allied health. It's very personal and it's very emotional. Now let's look at some data. And that is that if you look at the number of doctors who are retiring, do we have any retired doctors here? Okay, if we had them, the number of doctors retiring right now is so many more than if you took all the med schools across America and who was enrolled in them right now, they don't even come close to the number retiring. So all of healthcare, whether you call it Obamacare or Affordable Care Act, et cetera, there's a healthcare crisis. Let's take the politics out of it. So we look at that and we have to say, how are we going to deal with this thing? The Center of Excellence came about to address that, to say, what can we do to look at healthcare? So we went ahead and pulled the 4 hospitals together. 3 hospitals are over in Prescott Valley, the hospital here, that system, brought them together, talked about it, et cetera, and then said, okay, there's also NAU to be recognized, Northern Arizona University. They have a center, and we are part of it, in Prescott Valley, that is a 3-year bachelor's. It's one of the shining stars in the Arizona system of higher education, is that model, reduced rate, et cetera. So NAU wants to bring in 2 programs in the allied health that are going to be signature programs, which are going to be at the master's and doctoral level. And they want to bring that into their site as well to deal with the healthcare crisis. So as we pull that together, it's a possibility to have this thing come together and all 4 hospitals be able to train in a virtual hospital. You don't replicate those. I have a meeting next week with the University of Arizona, including the med school, to talk about bringing other programs to one site. Now, so that's what we're planning, and the emphasis is on planning. I want to commend you for who you're working with. The students there, how do we work with it? We have all the preliminary courses will be offered at both campuses, Verde Valley as well as Prescott. The first year of nursing will be still offered there. It's 1 year when that comes into very highly intensified programs as far as the equipment and all the stuff that goes along with that. And then the clinical sites are all over the county. You'll want the students in the clinical sites because that's where they feel comfortable, and the employer also gets a chance to look and say, do we want to hire you or not? And so it's the clinical sites that are so critical as well. All that will happen. And so the real need, the concern that I'm hearing in between some words, is transportation. So let's deal with the transportation. I've already asked our mining department, which trains all the mines in the whole state, to say, can you drill a darn hole through the mountain? It would make it a lot easier, because I can't drive over Mingus because I get vertigo too easily. But I mean, it's just, hey, how do we deal with it? How do we deal with students who are low income across this whole county? The good news is we're planning it, and 5 years from now, if we didn't have distance education 10 years away, or 10 years ago, just think of what 5 years is going to be. We may not even need to have, you know, we may be able to do everything by the internet. I don't know. So we're very sensitive to that, but it's the whole healthcare situation that we've got to deal with. But for 3 years, they can be here, go over there 1 year, and the clinical sites right here. So it's not like we're tearing out nursing and everything. So, but it's still being planned. So let me know what you think about it. So sorry. I just, my doctor retired. And I know how hard it is to find a doctor that's sort of emotional about that. So
Let me get to a couple of questions for people that felt a little more comfortable writing their questions out. These two are kind of related, so I'll put them together. How are the public meetings in Sedona and the Verde Valley affecting your thinking or rethinking of the college's 10-year plan and its impact on planned investments? And with the improvement in Arizona's economy, are you able to lobby for more funding?
Well, I can talk about the more funding piece of it. That's fleeting. That's absolutely not going to happen. The state of Arizona, I don't know how many of you have really looked at the funding situation for community colleges in the state of Arizona, but when the deal went down for community colleges in the state of Arizona back in the 60s, the deal was the local tax base supported half and the state paid half. When I came on the board back in the last century, we were at about 20%, and I thought that was pretty abominable, and we lobbied trying to say, you know, the state is not holding up their end of the deal. Well, now we're down to 1%. And the state has no intention of funding the community college system ever again. You talk to the legislatures and they'll just look in the eye and tell you that. So what the state has done is transferred the cost of the community college system in total to the local taxpayer, you guys. That's just the way it is. When we got hit in 2012, we had to do things. Our plan had to change. It's like any plan, you know, you're going along and then reality smacks you in the face and you got two choices. You can believe the world's going to change to match your plan, or you can get busy and change your plan. And that's what we've been doing for the last several years, is how are we going to stay solvent and relevant and do a good job for the citizens of the county with the resources we have. We'd love, I wish this gentleman would run for legislature, you know. We'd love to have those kind of people down there and in the domed madhouse down in Phoenix, but it's just not going to happen. So we gotta do what we can with what we got, and that's what we intend to do, and that's what this plan is about. Lay out the best roadmap we can, and of course, community. You know, our intent is to go out and do these community dialogues. We expect and hope to get community input, and the plan will evolve over the next number of years. 10 years. We'll, you know, when this 10-year plan's done, guess what happens next, guys? The next 10-year plan. We have to always know some idea of what direction we're going. So that's what we're going to do. It will change. You know, the plan's going to change. I mean, look, you know, if I knew what was going to happen day after tomorrow with certainty, you all would be working for me. So 10 years out, it gets a little fuzzy, but we believe we kind of know what direction things are going, but we're going to have to adopt this plan every year. We'll be talking about it at every board meeting, and we expect to get good community involvement and input and make the plan work over time. But it's a work in process until the last day, and then we start another plan. That's kind of how this works.
Maybe just to follow that up with a quick example, the plan is already evolving in that, you know, for example, we've had quite a bit of feedback on the nursing program, and we are working with our nursing program director, Mary Brown, and challenging her to see, you know, what can she do to limit that impact on students having to travel. You know, can we offer some of these courses via ITV? Can we at least get it down to 2 days a week instead of 4 days a week that people would have to travel, and yet those 2 days that they're traveling to have access to the high quality equipment would still be needed, but at least it's twice a week rather than four days a week. So we are already incorporating your feedback into our thinking and planning.
Thank you. I think
We have about 3 people over here.
yeah, let's take a couple of audience questions, and it's been great that you've been identifying yourselves. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Paul Chevalier from Sedona. This is a very polite audience tonight, but I think what is on a lot of people's minds in Sedona, and you've heard it in other meetings, is this trade-off between efficiency and accessibility. I think when community colleges were started, I say I think because I wasn't there, that they started for accessibility. And the efficiency came, okay, we want to have them in certain places to make them accessible to people. Otherwise, in this state, why not leave everything down the Phoenix area? You know, that would probably be the most efficient of all. but it's not accessible. And I think what has happened here is I've listened to everything in these meetings. You're so focused on the efficiency side. 2/3 of the students, 2/3 of the population, I should say, are on the other side of the mountain. So let's put the stuff for the 2/3. It's much more efficient. I'm listening to the conversation tonight about nursing. We have a nursing need here too. I mean, and our tax dollars that we raise here in Sedona are not being spent in Sedona. And I think we can make a pretty good argument with the additional tax dollars that you get from the rest of the Verde Valley that you're getting much more than you spend over here. So our tax dollars aren't even really going very much to the Clarkdale campus. I think we'd like to see a lot more go to the, and that could be arguable, okay, but we want to see a lot more spent on the Sedona side. We have needs. The fact that you've got 2/3 of the population on the other side and it's more efficient doesn't help our accessibility. What I think the people of Sedona want to see is come up with a plan where the tax dollars that are raised here are spent here in intelligent ways for the needs we have. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Angela LaFever. I live here in Sedona, and I've been listening with frustration. I actually ran for the state legislature in 2012. I didn't get there, unfortunately, but it killed me to hear the people, how they talked. I was at meetings with community colleges and discussions on what the state legislature should do. In those discussions, I heard people in Coconino, in Flagstaff, Gore Industries, not being able to fill the positions there from people who lived in Flagstaff because they didn't have those with the technical requirements. That's how bad this is. What I did learn was that it's a vicious cycle, that in order for us to really develop here, to bring in jobs, we have to have the education to do it. And I thought that community colleges filled in that gap. Those kids who couldn't get to the universities, who couldn't even afford it. This would be what our communities would do, would provide that education for our kids, that it would be another option. What has happened is that this option has gone away. They're now basically private schools. It's basically is that they're fee-based, the money is not coming enough from the state. I first of all would like to say I would like to see you pressurizing the state a lot more to try and get funding for our community colleges. And don't discount this area, do not discount the Verde Valley. As you were saying, and I agree with everything that's been said so far from the audience, is that yes, we need to work together, but you need to respect the fact that the people here care about education. I just want to say one more thing, is that I've just come off a very successful 3.5 years with this community steering committee for the community plan here in Sedona. What did we do to put that plan, the draft plan, together? We spent 3 years going to the people here to listen to them, to listen to what they wanted. And you know what? One of the things they really wanted was an active community college, that right there in the cultural park, which is a disaster right now. That was one of the positives that we see there, is that can be developed. The building is there. I know you have problems with the parking. I know you have physical problems there. Those need to be resolved, because I see that it's just across the road from the high school. Something that we as a community, and we can show you the comments that we received, would like to see and like to develop. The building's there for you. We hope that you will look on that favorably and you develop it, not shut it down and sell it. Thank you.
I'm Jessica Williamson from Sedona. One of the things that I noticed that sort of a part of the whole plan is based on the falling enrollment in the Verde Valley campus. The fact that enrollment has been falling everywhere. No? It's been falling everywhere, but I know it's also been falling in the Verde Valley. I also know that at one point the academics, the choice of what was offered there was taken away, was centralized along with a lot of the other factors. Now, I hear this from the teachers themselves and from people who used to do it, that there used to be a lot more outreach. There used to be a lot more outreach to the single moms with kids, to the kids at risk, that were very, very focused by the people at the college who that's what they were going after, and that they was very heavily advertised and marketed, and that all of that went away. It might have gone away for reasons of economics. It got away for reasons of consolidation. To what extent are you even considering putting the academic decisions on what's offered in that campus back to local people who actually are local people who are in the faculty or in the position at the campus? Is there any thought given to giving back that responsibility to local control?
Well, again, I think part of the purpose of meetings like this one is to put the control back with the community and to get your feedback on the kinds of programming that's wanted and needed, so that we can make sure that we're offering those programs. Certainly, Dean Perry, who's here tonight, has a lot of input and he solicits that input from his faculty as to what kinds of courses are offered. But I think what's more important, and I think the theme that's emerging from some of these sessions we've had so far, is that people feel like there's definite gaps in the programming that you'd like to see. So that's what we're hoping to get at, is to help us better understand the kinds of programs and classes that we need to offer.
I guess falling enrollment, I would like to talk a little bit to that. I mean, basically we're holding our own flat to up 0.5 to 1% on the Verde campus, which, you know, isn't real exciting, but, you know, the national trend is about 3% down, and the state trend statewide is 6% down. So we think, you know, holding our own and increasing a little bit is doing pretty good in that kind of environment. We're not exactly sure why nationally it's down, community college and enrollment is down that much. That's a huge number. And statewide, 6%, that's a huge number. We're really not sure why that is. I don't know if it's because people now feel like the economy's coming back and they're going out of school and going back to work. We're really not too sure. But we would really like to grow the enrollments. Our biggest problem in the Verde Valley right now is we're overbuilt about 2/3 on the Verde campus. We just spent $20 million rebuilding that campus for the next 10 years. We have capacity on that campus for growth for the next, we believe, next 10 years. If we grow out of it in the next 5 years, then we'll fix that. But we really need to build our enrollments, and that's one of the things we've got to take on. We've got the building done. We're done, all torn up. All that's behind us. We've got it done, and now we need to bring the students in. And we would really like the community to help us identify the areas where you feel like people will come and take classes. You know, the way most classes get established and continue is when people enroll in them. If we offer classes and people don't sign up for them, then it's difficult for us to keep offering them. So it isn't, you know, we do have a lot of smart people making decisions and figuring stuff out, but it really is a supply and demand thing. If we offer classes and nobody comes, then we're unlikely to offer them for long periods of time because we can't afford to. I mean, we got to pay the teachers, whether any, you know, we have fixed costs that are associated with these things, whether somebody comes to them or not. So we do struggle with efficiency and access, but yes, the community colleges are responsible for offering access to communities. We feel like we have a reasonable trade-off in that area. You know, this is a huge county, but you know, we do what we can, what we have. You know, the biggest taxpayer in the county is in Baghdad, Arizona. So if we're really talking about where's the money, then we'd ought to move all the programs to Baghdad, because those are the guys that are underserved for the taxes they pay.
Thank you. Barbara Luttrell, Sedona. It feels a little backwards in the sense that you have a plan and now you're coming to the community instead of having gone to the community to present all the problems that you may have had to get community input to start with. But I guess my question is, it seems like there was a contradiction. In one place it said that the Sedona campus is underutilized on your chart, And then you talked about how it's doing so well with Ollie, which is not really counted, but I've never quite figured out why you don't count Ollie. I know you do most things with full-time student equivalents, but if Ollie is that successful, and I know that it is, then what can we do over the course of the next 3 to 5 years, during which time you are going to be considering or trying to solve the problems of the Sedona parking and the building issues? But what can we do over the next 3 to 5 years as a community to work with you to maximize the use of the Sedona campus? Because there are more ideas in this community about what to do on the Sedona campus that no one from the college that I'm aware of has really asked about, except for the Culinary Institute coming out of the collaborative. But I'm talking about other kinds of programs that can be built on the Ollie kind of framework so that you can have a maximized campus instead of something that you want to close. Thank you.
And I'm going to add a written question to that. Somebody wanted to know whether there are going to be any changes in the Ollie program in this plan.
Dennis, are you still here? There's a guy that runs the Ollie program.
I'm the Dean of the Division of Lifelong Learning for Yavapai College. You have trouble hearing my voice?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
But we're recording.
Oh, we're recording, okay. My name's Dennis Garvey. I'm the Dean of the Lifelong Learning for Yavapai College, and we have 3 Ollie sites, one in Prescott, one in Sedona, and one over on the Clarkdale campus. And as far as what Sedona's doing, it's going to continue to do what it's done over the last 3 or 4 years, which is grow by 10% every year. While traditional students are flat, our lifelong learning members, you know, are thirsting for more information and are coming and sharing their talents. I expect that to continue to grow.
Thank you.
Does that help? Yes? Okay.
On to you.
I think the other thing I'll add is that, just to clarify, the college does not want to leave Sedona, and we don't plan to leave Sedona. We don't want to leave the cultural park, but as Mr. Harrington pointed out, we've been in an untenable situation for many years, and we hope and we believe we're close to getting that finalized with the Mr. Tennyson, and we hope to be coming back to the community shortly, maybe within the next several months, to be able to make an announcement.
Thank you. Either one.
I'm Tommy Bain, Clarkdale, Arizona. I think I'm probably about the only native here looking around. I've been here since the 40s, moved up from Tucson to Camp Verde. And I've seen a lot of growth in this valley. I now live in Clarkdale. And what I have noticed, first of all, take Sedona. It sounds like you have beaten this dead horse for 11 years to try and get it up. Bury the damn thing and go look for a new horse. That's the best thing. I mean, after 11 years. Another thing is, you said that you want to have the college come up. We had 8 wonderful art teachers at Yavapai College. That was out of this world. People came from Phoenix, came from Flagstaff for the classes. You fired all but 2. Those 2 is the only 2 we got now, trying to teach what they can teach. If you want to take anything else, you have to go across the mountain. Most of it's nighttime. I'm 75 years old. I don't drive at night. How can I take classes over there? Let's say jewelry. We had a great jewelry class here. Wonderful. Do we now? No. We had sculpturing welding. Do we now? No. We just literally went down to nothing. It's like you guys are trying to shut down every department slowly so you can close this campus to me.
Well, I guess, you know, I'm a relative newcomer here. I haven't been here since the 40s, but I have been here since the early 80s. And when you say those people, I live in Cornville, and I've been representing this valley for a while. And yes, we've had to make some decisions. In 2012, we had to fire some people. Nobody really enjoys doing that. We had to change some things, and some of the problems that we have with people perceiving a loss of local control probably came from that. We had too much overhead, and we had to get rid of some deans and some people in management positions. Didn't have a lot of choice. That was not a pleasant activity, but you have to live within your means. Now, we could have come, and maybe we should have come to the tax base and said, we need to raise the taxes by $10 million a year. We lost about, did we lose 20?
Oh, we lost about 8% of our budget.
8% of our budget in one swoop. So we could have asked the taxpayers to make that up, and we considered it, but we didn't think that that would have been well received, so we had to cut head count. The premise that we have a process of a bunch of people nefariously sitting in a room deciding to cut educational programs, I find to be a little hard to grasp. You know, our job is to teach people wherever we can, and we offer classes and people take them, we continue to offer them. If we offer them and people do not take them, then we quit offering them. Most of the classes you're talking about, people did not enroll in. I will have to defer to the administration on that, but you know, we offer classes, and if we get enrollments, we tend to continue them. Why would I want to disserve the community that I live in? What would motivate me to do that? Why would anybody do that? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, we agreed we weren't going to have any personal attacks, but if you have a question, I'll be glad to direct it towards them. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a nurse at Verde Valley Medical Center. I work with students from Yavapai College as well as Northern Arizona College. The hospital is going to be expanding under the Affordable Care Act. We need nurses, and it bothers me that part of the nursing program is going to be moving over to the other side of the mountain, and yet at the same time, from what I understand, you're going to be expanding agriculture on this side of the mountain. You're going to be building greenhouses, and there's this push towards viticulture. I also lived in the wine country in Northern California for 30 years, and I just don't see how going in that direction is going to benefit this community. There's no agriculture here. There's no water. There is a hospital that needs nurses and that works closely with the Yavapai College. So I'm just having trouble understanding what the push is there, why that money is going towards agriculture and not towards the nursing program. Or art, you know, which is, or Ollie, or, you know, from what I hear from other people in this room, it doesn't sound like the classes that people are wanting to take are happening. And you're saying you're needing to cut funds and that you cut classes that people don't take, but that doesn't sound to be like it's the case necessarily. And if you let the teachers go, then you let the class go.
Those of us that are in agriculture in the Verde Valley are surprised to hear there is no agriculture in the Verde Valley. Agriculture is a $6.3 billion industry in the state of Arizona, and it's a growing industry. And there will continue to be a large agricultural presence in this area. And I think there's a lot of change in agriculture. And one of the things that we feel pretty strongly about in partnership with the University of Arizona is that the changes in agriculture are going to be dramatic over the next few years. And we feel like Yavapai College is well positioned to help the agricultural community learn how to do the lower water use, less GMO active, all those things that we read about every day. People have to take that on, and education is key to that. And, you know, there's a lot of folks in this valley that have a very strong tie to agriculture. I think that we can participate in that quite effectively. What?
I'd like to go to one of the written questions. With the growth of online courses, what, if you know, what % of online students are from Sedona, Verde Valley versus Prescott, or even other areas?
I'm sorry, I don't know that off the top of my head. I'd be happy to look into it and
Sure, we'll look into that and get back to the person who asked that question. How many of your dual credit courses are accepted by state colleges or universities?
All of them. They're Yavapai College courses.
Okay.
So we have articulation agreements with every state college, university.
As well as Old Dominion University that has, you can get your 4-year degree on both the Verde campus and the Prescott campus through Old Dominion and Northern Arizona University.
Any more audience questions?
Hi, Rob Adams at Sedona. Harold, first I want to thank you for putting yourself on the hot seat for every one of these public forums. I really appreciate that.
Well, I make the big bucks, Rob.
You know, and I also want to thank the administrators of Yavapai College for coming over. I just wish that the other 3 board members from the other side of the mountain would come to listen to what we have to say here in the Verde Valley. I do believe that's unfortunate. That being said, I've been a part of the negotiations that have been going on regarding the land issues there. And last week, Harold, you were at a meeting there at the city where we discussed the access issue. Knowing what I know at those meetings, I feel very optimistic about those issues being resolved. So the first question is, what's your feeling? Secondarily, I have heard actually Dr. Will say that we are going to, that the college is going to move forward with a public outreach to find out what sort of programming might be wanted and desired in Sedona and what might work for the college. So if you could get into a little bit in terms of what that public process might look like, I would appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also would like to thank Mayor Adams for coming and also his support. He's been key in helping us try to move the ball forward on getting this thing resolved, and I really appreciate the time you spent on it. I feel very optimistic that we're going to resolve this. Dr. Wills has spent a tremendous amount of time on it, and her staff has. We've got the key players in Sedona really helping us. We really think that we're going to get this thing done. So I'm very optimistic about it, and as soon as we have that done, then we have way more options on what we can do at that point than we have now. So I'm looking forward to getting that behind us at long last. It would be a great relief to all of us. So the process that we planned on using at this point is we go out and do community forums. We go do presentations to the community groups, public service groups, and then just try to get into every place we can to talk to people and get input into, now that we've got something on the table. And I know people feel like we didn't do enough of that ahead of time, and obviously we didn't, but it's kind of a classic problem. Until you have something on the table for people to really look at, it's hard to talk people into investing their time into some amorphous process that really has not much definition to it. So now we're at the point where we have something we can say, this is kind of the plan. Now we want to sit down. It's worth your time now. Everybody's busy, and we're asking people to invest their time in helping us move forward, and we've got to use that time wisely. We've got to do it efficiently. You know, I'll get back to efficient. We cannot waste the community's time. So now we've got something on the table. We go out, we talk to people, we go to the community service groups, we do the presentations, we get the feedback. You know, I would really like to identify those programs that we could bring into this community and people would come and take. That's what we need. Our biggest problem in the Verde Valley right now is making sure that we offer the programs that people will actually come and take. Because we have the capacity on the Verde campus, and we have, you know, Ollie is a growing program, but, you know, Ollie isn't going to be able to use the entire Sedona facility probably at the growth rate you're talking about within the next 5 or 6 years. So we have to have other things that we can offer to the community for your benefit in that facility. That's what we need your help with. What are the right things for us to put in there? What will you guys want to take? You know, that's what we need to do. You know, I want to make sure that we're doing the classes that people want to take so people will come. That's what my objective is. That's why I volunteer my time to do this. I want people to come. Uh-oh, here comes the hatchet.
We have time for a couple more questions, and I'll go ahead and take our written questions. To what extent is Yavapai College continued presence in Sedona dependent upon resolution of access and boundary issues?
Not at all. Our presence in Sedona is permanent and ongoing. If we cannot resolve the issues with the property in the Sedona Cultural Park, we will have another facility in Sedona. We are not leaving Sedona. We have a large and growing group of people over here, and we continue to grow that presence. We are not leaving Sedona. We may leave the Sedona Cultural Park.
This is more of a comment. We have a request from the Sedona Red Rock News, our local newspaper, to have somebody from either the board or the administration contact them.
Sure.
That would be wonderful. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Can I take one more?
Yeah, we have
Okay.
a couple here, and I'll get to you here.
Howdy, my name is Christopher. I'm from Sedona. I'm actually the editor of the Sedona Red Rock News. And I'm curious to know why administration refuses to respond to my emails or phone calls for meetings about hard numbers for students and funding. I've sent you guys all emails. I wrote an editorial about Dr. Wills. I ran her guest perspective, and I directly addressed your issues and asked you to specifically contact me so I could give hard numbers to my readers. And yet I have not received a single phone call or email. Can we arrange some sort of meeting? And I'm essentially calling you guys out right now to set up an administrative meeting between my editorial staff and your college to discuss the hard numbers and why you guys think this is justified to the Sedona residents and to the Verde Valley.
Be happy to meet with you. I can honestly tell you I've not received an email from you at this point, but I will investigate it and we'll set something up.
Steve Williamson. Harold, I want to go to your second point so that I understand it clearly. Are you saying that in order to prevent the sale of property, you seem worried about my question.
No, I was trying to remember what the second one was.
The second point was that if I understood it correctly, and I've heard you say it now at 2 meetings, the property has to be consolidated. Now, you were on the board when the college bought the property and it wasn't consolidated. Why does it have to be consolidated? That seems to be the most worrisome of your conditions for not selling the campus, because that's asking a lot more. It also seems, is it really necessary? Because it's 100 yards. It's an easy walk down to your other property, undeveloped property.
That's a good question, Steve. What my concern is about consolidating our property is I don't want to buy any more property, right? I don't want to spend any more money of your money on property in the Sedona Cultural Park. So we feel like we own literally 5 feet outside the walls of our building. We have to have property around our building that we own so we can put in a parking lot and have legal access. So I think it's not unreasonable for us to take the position we want to take I don't want to own that 5 acres 100 yards down the road and have to buy additional property around our building. And that's a condition that we've set, and I don't think that it's a condition that is going, that's not one of the most difficult conditions to overcome. We were told last week by the developer's attorney that they're fine with swapping that property. There are just a lot of other issues, but I think it's reasonable to say I don't think it makes sense to buy more property right now.
So you're not saying that you have an order 5 acres with where the college is now, in order to not sell.
No, I'm saying that we have to own, I'd like, what we're saying, or what our proposal to the developer is, we want to trade that 5 acres for property around our building. We don't want to buy additional property and have that, continue to have that 5 acres 100 yards down the road. If we have 3 conditions. We've got to get our property together, we've got to have parking, and we've got to have legal access. Any one of those not resolved 5 years from now will mean we've got to buy a different building.
At this point, I think we need to wrap up, but okay, I'll take one more question.
Actually, I'm Edward Ujametskas. In 2000, I opened the Sedona Center for Arts and Technology for Yavapai College. I was the director of the Digital Media Arts program. And along with Jody Filardo, who's sitting here, we ran that center until I left in 2005. I've heard reference to 12 years having issues with the area around the center. We did not have issues going up to 2005. We were able to park. We had worked out deals with the cultural park that was in place at the time. And so we didn't have those issues. More importantly, over the 5 years that I was there and working with Jody, we really began to look at the uniqueness of the space and what needed to happen to make it work. It's a very unique space. We did 2 digital storytelling festivals, which were international, and the people said that this was a perfect place for it. The original design for that was to bring people in a workshop mode, have them learn and leave, so that it becomes a revenue stream for the college that's not requiring footsie, because these were people who were coming out from all over the country, all over the world. We were doing workshops in the summers that were doing the same thing. So there is a way to polish what I call the jewel that is the Sedona Center for Arts and Technology. It's going to take looking outside of the box. Yes, it's a great place for Ollie, and I think if we look outside the box, we can really make that place flourish, because it's unlike anywhere else, literally in this country. People will want to come there, and that gives opportunities for the community. The other thing we learned during that time was we tried to go market-based with my program and then with the film school. Unfortunately, when we went market-based with my program, people stopped coming because we went from $40 a credit hour to $97 a credit hour. So as long as the courses are affordable for the community, this is a retirement community, they will come. You know, to use the saying from Field of Dreams, you build it, they will come. So if we price it right, we come up with unique opportunities, people will come. But we have to work with, not only in the community, but with the resorts and everything else. Because unfortunately, it was built as a commuter campus, and without some place for people to stay, it becomes very expensive otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to give both speakers a couple of minutes if they'd like to just kind of wrap up or give any thoughts that they might have. I'll start with Mr. Harrington.
So I guess I'll talk a little bit about the last point. Is I really appreciate that I think that there are opportunities we have, and I think the college will, or I know the college will be asking for help from the community to identify those. You guys know these opportunities better than we do, and we really do want to get your input so we pick the right things to do. I think there are a lot of opportunities in that facility, and I really look forward to having this whole mess with the bankruptcy of the cultural park and all these issues behind us, so we can set a clear direction and say, this is what we're going to do, this is what the community really feels strongly about. It's going to take some innovation. You know, offering gen ed classes in that facility is ridiculous. You know, most of the people in this community are overqualified to teach them, much less attend them, right? So what we need to do is pick the right programs, and we're going to need community help to do that. So I look forward to engaging with you and all of you in this community to do that. It's going to take us a while to figure it out, but we have time to do it well. You know? And if we find something that doesn't work, then we do something else. You know, we're going to be here trying to do this. As things change, we'll have to adapt the plan, but we'll do that with the community involved. That's what we do. We really do.
It's not fun being up here with Harold because he's just so darn eloquent. So there's not a whole lot I can add to that other than we are going to assume success with the Sedona Center. We've already started internal discussions to try to get the ball rolling for what that new programming is going to look like. And to your point, and maybe to the point of Ms. Luttrell, that there are going to be a lot of opportunities to come up with programming to fill up that building, and that Sedona wants and needs. So again, thank you all, and we'll be in touch soon with upcoming opportunities to provide feedback on needed programming.
Well, I'd like to thank our speakers, and I think they deserve a round of applause. I'd like to thank everybody else who came from Yavapai College, and I especially want to thank you, the audience, for your interest and your very well thought out questions and comments. If you haven't had a chance to sign the sign-in sheet, we would appreciate you doing it. It's in the back of the room. And if you are a little unfamiliar with what the League of Women Voters does and would like some more information, there is some in the back of the room. Thank you.